Well, the Obama administration taking heat for its response to the Brussels attacks and terrorism as a whole. Critics like Republican presidential candidate Senator Ted Cruz say that President Obama has been downplaying the problem for years.
This was part of a global jihad being waged by radical Islamic terrorism. It is a jihad being waged on Europe, being waged on Israel, and being waged on the United States of America. And for 7 years, President Obama and Hillary Clinton and this administration have been so bound up by political correctness, they've refused to acknowledge what it is we're fighting. They've refused even to name it.
Let's bring in the Fox News political insiders. Pat Cadell, a former pollster for President Jimmy Carter, and Fox News contributor Doug Schoen, former pollster for President Bill Clinton and a Fox News contributor as well, and John LeBoutillier, he's a former Republican congressman for New York. Thank you all for joining us.
Sure.
All right, so John, I'll start with you. President Obama, let's just talk about the fact that he stayed in Cuba after this happened, did the wave and did the tango. Good idea?
Well, I think going to the base, first of all, I don't think he even should have gone to Cuba, if you really want to get into it, to cavort with a bastard like Raul Castro. And what kills me is the media in America papering over the behavior of the Castro regime in order to make it look wonderful that our president is finally gone there, you know? And things that the media has liked over the years, gay rights. Okay. Look at the record of gay rights of the Castro regime. What they've done to gays in that country is frightening. Anti-Semitism under Castro, unbelievable, not reported anymore by our media.
Why aren't we hearing a lot about that?
Well, that's my point. The media is in the tank with Obama, and that's part of a bigger pattern here, which is the President of the United States goes there and puts his good housekeeping stamp of approval on a bastard like Raul Castro, while other bastards are killing innocent people. This is a bad theme here.
Yeah, and then, Doug, I think that you're trying to jump in here. Not only that, he then chose to stay there.
Yeah, I think, Heather, it is tragic that given the Brussels attacks, he didn't come right home. But it's also has to be discussed in the context of the tragedy of today, where more than 60 people were killed by a Taliban splinter group in Lahore, Pakistan, because they were celebrating Easter Sunday. And this is a group that has a loose affiliation with ISIS. Clearly, from what John is saying, and I think Pat would probably agree, this president has not been systematic, strategic, or aggressive enough in taking on ISIS. And the tragic murders today in Lahore, Pakistan, linked to what happened in Brussels, suggest that we are facing a worldwide jihad that we are not fighting back aggressively and successfully against.
Primarily women and children in that incident that happened in Pakistan.
Absolutely.
So, Pat, what should the president be doing?
Well, you know, he's never going to do what he should do different. He's going to do what he's done, which is go and embrace communist authoritarianism, make a wave but never engage against the real human rights violations of dissidents in Cuba. He is, look, he didn't go to Paris after we had the Charlie Hebdo massacre. He didn't go last fall. In fact, no one from America went. From the State to Biden, Kerry, no one went to represent the United States. His view of all of this is it's a problem that should go away and it shouldn't trouble me. The American people have nothing but disgust and disdain for the president's positions, and I believe in this, just as a 3-to-1 disagree with his being unwilling to identify radical Islamic terrorism for what it is.
But
and you know, I think that basically what he's going to do is do this. We have murders going on in Africa. Boko Haram burnt boys in a church after they kidnapped the Christian girls. This is going on all over the world, and he leads nowhere. He is all about his tangoing in Argentina, which will become the description. He tangos while the world burns.
But of course, the president or the White House, they do have their own explanation for it. If we can bring up this sound from John Kerry, this is what he had to say.
The President of the United States' schedule is not set by terrorists. The President of the United States has major diplomatic responsibilities. He has to engage with other countries. That was an important part of trying to build a relationship and achieve some of our goals with respect to human rights, with respect to transformation in Syria, in Cuba, and elsewhere. And I think the president, you know, life doesn't stop because one terrible incident takes place.
But Secretary Kerry, we've heard this before, John.
Oh, gosh, watching that. There is no transformation in Cuba. That's what has so many of us upset. The president goes there. What did we get in return for it? Yeah, he goes to a baseball game. Great. But did people get let out of jail? No. More people were put in jail.
Yeah.
Did more people get human...
He said give him a list.
Did more
Did you
people
hear that
get...
speech?
I know. Did more people get human rights because of the president bestowing this special status on Cuba? No. Meanwhile, to build on what Pat and Doug said, there's a lot of other anti-American stuff going on around the world that isn't getting enough coverage. For instance, this week we learned Iran has been hacking the United States, including the power grid and a dam in upstate New York. 7 people were indicted by the Justice Department. Came and went as a story. This is a serious thing. They're meddling in the internal security of our country. They're firing off ICBM missiles. No sanctions are put on them. They're getting money out of us like crazy. And by the way, just to be frank, where are the Republicans about this thing?
What we're going to talk about.
They're not saying anything about it.
Well, we're going to talk about that and how all of this impacts the political races going on.